called with a set of jacks. A 6 on the turn paired board, and Eric slowed down, check calling Yevgeny's bet. With a deuce on the river, Yevgeny fired in, and after some deliberation, Eric made the call and surprised to see Yevgeny's nut full house. A few hands later, Eric Seidel, the inaugural WPT Super High Roller champion, was the first in the field to be eliminated, and he slinked off into the casino, perhaps contemplating his option to re-enter. Marvin Rettenmeyer, who started out the day on the wrong foot, tangled with last season's WPT Super High Roller runner-up Andrew Roble. On a board of Queen Jack 7, Marvin pushed his chips all in with an overpair of kings, and Andrew made the call with top pair. A deuce fell on the turn and an 8 on the river, giving Mad Marvin the well-timed double up. But luck was not on the side of businessman and amateur poker player Kerry Katz, who was the second player to hit the rail at Bellagio. Down but not out, Andrew Lichtenberger, currently on the short stack, seemed to have the right mindset to get his game back on track.
Going to the last level of the day, it's not going great. I have a little less than a third of starting stack. Just part of the game, sometimes you get short, so I'm just going to do my best to run it back up.
And even though the reigning WPT Super High Roller champion Thomas Marchese recently doubled up, he was still short on chips and eventually found himself at the mercy of Jason Mercier and was the third player to be eliminated from the field. Thomas was pretty disappointed at the outcome, with no plans of re-entering. Faring well were businessmen Robert Mercer and Bill Klein, as well as last season's runner-up Andrew Roble, who all found spots to chip up. In one of the final hands of the day, Marvin Rettenmeyer got all his chips in with King-Queen and was called by Yevgeny Timoshenko, who had him dominated with Ace-King. The board ran out with all low cards, sending the pot to Yevgeny and Mad Marvin to the rail, though he didn't seem so mad. At the end of the day, players were bagging their chips, and Yevgeny was not ready to go home.
I feel really good. I'm actually kind of disappointed the play ended because I was on a bit of a rush for pretty much the entire day, and I wanted to keep that going.
Luck's all gone. No luck for tomorrow. Something you don't want to do in tournaments is use all your luck on day one. Can't win that way.
The 11 players who finished the day in the $100,000 buy-in WPT Super High Roller all hope to have luck on day 2. Young pros Steven Silverman and Yevgeny Timoshenko currently sat at the top of the leaderboard, but with stakes so high and a lot of play ahead, it was still anybody's game. With registration still open, will anyone new show up on day 2? And will anyone take the ultimate plunge and risk another $100K to re-enter? We'll find out when we return to the WPT Super High Roller at Bellagio. Welcome back to Season 11's extended coverage of WPT Super High Roller at Bellagio. With registration still open and day 2 about to start, all eyes were on who might still show up and who might double down and re-enter, putting another $100,000 at risk. Players were readying themselves for the long battle ahead on day 2, including last season's 5th place finisher, Bill Klein.
We're at the high roller event, day 2, just getting started, down to 2 tables. I am the short stack, who's going to grind it out, hope I catch a couple of cards.
Pretty optimistic.
Also feeling optimistic was day 1 casualty Kerry Katz, who decided to fire another very expensive bullet.
Just back for more abuse.
Jason Mercier was the first casualty of the day, but he didn't go home empty-handed as he got a $100,000 hug from the Royal Flush Girls.
Give him a big hug. You have to cheer him up somehow and make him feel a little better. I told him you can always rebuy, so hopefully we'll see him again.
Without much contemplation, Jason got right back in the mix.
Yeah, I'm rebuying. All right. Get the camera out of my face. No, I'm just kidding.
While Jason was taking his seat for the second time, some players were taking their seat for the first time, including Season 9 ones to watch Joseph Chung, who was looking to parlay on his previous night's good fortune.
Played some baccarat last night. I wanted to get him out of money, and I'm feeling pretty lucky, yeah.
To make up for lost time, Joseph immediately moved all in against Kerry Katz, who didn't want to risk his newly bought chips and open-folded pocket jacks. Then Joseph pushed all in on the against Yevgeny Timoshenko. who eventually makes the call. Joseph straight, Yevgeny promptly mucked his hand. Joseph was off and running on day 2. Businessman Ray Faltinsky, the most recent player to join the field, did not get off to the same strong start when he called an all-in of last season's 4th place finisher Dan Perper. Dan doubled up and Ray took a hit of his very first hands. Soon after, Andrew Lucky Lichtenberger busted to Michigan businessman Jim Courtney. When asked if he was to re-enter, his answer was short and sweet.
No.
Eric Seidel decided to take
Sucker.
as Eric took his seat for the second time. The bus outs
How's it? Not that soon.
faster than his second speeding bullet. Was he coming back for a third? But French Jean-Noel got tangled in a hand with Jason Mercier. And Jean-Noel bet holding an overpair of queens. But with an ace on the turn and a queen on the river, Jason
Yeah, I'm done. Can't afford it anymore. Too much
now closed and the money was all counted up. The WPT for over $2 million. Stakes were high with over $1 million going to first place and only the top 3 spots getting paid, making this with players converging to one table. And David Sands had some thoughts on the remaining field.
I mean, this is a $100,000 buy-in tournament. You know, everyone's good. And I think one of the biggest mistakes a poker player, an athlete, or really any competitor can make is underevaluate their opponents. So I have a ton of respect for all the 8 players at my table, and, you know, they're all very dangerous.
At this stage in the game, every hand was crucial, and young pro Steven Silverman jumped into the chip lead after turning a flush against last season's runner-up, Andrew Roble. But Steven's lead would not last long, as just a few hands later, Joseph Chung took over when he crippled Jean-Noel Thoreau, who would soon after fall in 9th place. And the 2 remaining short stacks, Eric Seidel and Yevgeny Timoshenko, battled to not only chip up, but to secure a seat under the WPT's bright lights. Yevgeny moved all in on the button with Jack 3 of hearts and was called by Eric holding ace 6. Yevgeny flopped a pair of jacks, but they were no match for Eric's trip 6s. Yevgeny was drawing very slim until a miraculous jack hit on the river, giving him a bigger full house, keeping his tournament hopes alive. Eric, however, was crippled and would be eliminated on the next hand in 8th place. Yevgeny was trying to build some momentum when he moved all in with pocket 3s, but right behind him, businessman Jim Courtney made the call with pocket kings. The board ran out and Jim's kings would hold up to eliminate Yevgeny in 7th place. After the world champion's exit, the TV final table was set with a businessman, an online grinder, 2 WPT Super High Roller repeat performers, and 2 former ones to watch, all looking to make it to the top 3 spots so they will not go home empty-handed. With our elite group of 6 players settling into our final table, we turn to our own Poker Hall of Famer Mike Sexton and Hollywood cash game expert and tennis champion Vince Van Patten. Mike, how does play in a super high roller event differ from what we normally see at a WPT main televised event?
Well, Kimberly, it's different in that only 3 players get paid tonight. Now, 2 of the 6 players are on an extreme short stack, so they're going to have no choice but to mix it up soon. But it's going to be interesting to watch the 4 guys that have chips here tonight. Will they play tight and just try to get in the money, or will they play aggressive to try to accumulate a chip lead to go for the $1 million first place prize? This is going to be exciting to watch, but I promise you one thing. There's going to be pain for the bubble boy tonight because it's a 0, and 3rd place is over $400,000. It'll be fun.
However, they're at a final.
To win, if I can play the way I've been playing, and it's mine to lose. If I get stupid, I'm going to try not to do that.
Poker, there's only so much you can do. You can just play your best, and the rest is in the hands of poker gods.
Bellagio and the WPT Super High Roller final table.
It is here back in Vegas for this amazing event. We watched these players put down $100,000 each just a couple days ago, and they're going after millions here tonight. Cards are ready to fly once again, so let's go down to the felt.
Well, the amateur Jim Courtney out in front with nearly $1.7 million. Joseph Chung not far behind with $1.65 million. And Dan Perper and Andrew Robo, as you can see, on the extreme short stack.
Yeah, the winner's going to take home over $1 million, $1,023,000.
And what's unique, Vince, is the guys in 4th, 5th, and 6th place, they get 0, zippity-doo-dah. That should make this a fun final table.
That is right. Andy's at 2,000. Blinds are 8 and 16,000. Here we go. Action on Steven Silverman, young poker professional. He folds his hand. And now Dan Perper, who's an equity option trader from Highland Park, Illinois, also going to fold.
Action around to one of the top poker pros in the world, David Doc Sands. He goes out here, though.
Now Joseph Chong, another poker pro out of Palos Verdes, California. Not going to play. It's around to Andrew Roble. And look at this. He has picked up the weapons of mass destruction, the pair of aces on hand number 1.
Unbelievable, Vince. He's on the short stack at this table. Just what you dream about. You sit down and look down at 2 aces in the first hand.
Now how to play them, how to extract the most money from your victim.
He's going to limp in.
I'm all in.
Well, Dan finished 4th in this tournament last year. Chipping it here. He's on the short stack. Can't blame him. Doc Sands out. So Chung out.
Right.
Yep, Andrew Roble now going to take a peek at his card. Nothing hand. So he folds his hand. Around to Jim. He's out.
Call.
And look at this.
Snap call by Steve Silverman with queens. Vince, what hands we're seeing here.
Shocking.
Aces versus aces. Queens versus ace-king suited in the first 2 hands. Can you believe it? The classic race in poker, the ace-king versus the queens. Who's going to win it? Daniel Perper must win to stay alive. Will the queens hold up?
Here we go. And he hits a king
right
just like
on
that.
the flop. So Daniel is taking the lead with the 2 kings.
Pretty nice flop for Daniel. Here comes 4th Street.
Well, 8, so we're down to the river card. Steve Silverman must catch a queen on the river to eliminate Daniel from this tournament. A big dog to do so.
And Steve hit
That's a
lightning.
9,
Nope.
so there you go.
Thanks.
That race goes to the short stack. Daniel Perper stays alive.
Yeah, and that was a big sigh of relief. He can't believe he went up against queens, but then he hit his hand. Nicely done. Doubling up.
Well, that's pretty incredible. The hands that we're seeing coming out so far. Ace-king versus 2 queens. Aces versus aces. Wow.
And there's the Royal Flush Girls at the Royal Flush Girls Social